What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Gsluke here with our round 3 prize picks preview for this week's 3M Open. Gonna quickly go through the golf course, what to expect here on Saturday, and then of course 3 of the props, and I'll be targeting in my cards here. Yesterday didn't go all that great. Well, Duff Daddy went well over his 71.5 strokes, but Jason Day and Cameron Tringali choked for us. I mean, towards the end, we're underneath the prop we needed them to. Both were 1 under par. Tringali on 17 ended up ejecting, and then Jason Day over his last 3 to 4 holes really fumbled the bag there. So we were on track to have that 3 of 3. Obviously, 2 of the legs ended up fizzling out, but outside of that, ended up being a great day, particularly for the birdie or better matchups. Ended up sweeping there, did pretty solid for our strokes and birdie or betters as well. So feel pretty decent about our round 2 results, but looking for round 3 to really try and smash it. We have a lot of data at this point, 2 full rounds of TPC Twin Cities, so I think we'll have a much better idea of what to expect. So first off, round 2 played a lot easier than round 1. So with lower winds in the forecast, that's exactly what we expected. So in round 1, it played way over par. In fact, close to 2 strokes over par. And then in day 2, played around a third of a stroke over par. So right around a 1.5 shot difference between the 2 days. And now I thought I might play close to even par, maybe close to half a stroke over. So it was certainly in that range. And a lot of that was due to the wind gusts. And here for the next day, it's a little bit of a different situation. You'll see in the morning, relatively low winds, right? 7 to 8 miles an hour. In the afternoon, it's a little bit higher, closer to like 9 to 13 miles an hour. But they're going to all be teeing off of both tees, so off of 1 and number 10 tomorrow, and going off as early as 9:50 a.m. local time. So their goal was sending everybody off on both tees, also in threesomes, is to try and have them finish up as fast as humanly possible. So those teeing off early will probably finish by 12 or 1, so they're going to be in relatively benign conditions for the entire day. And then those that are teeing off towards 9:30 are probably going to finish up, before most of the weather comes in, or at least that's the hope, right? That's why they're going with this type of format. Now, if a lot of the heavy weather comes through, they're going to have stopped play by then, right? They're not going to be playing at 30 mile an hour wind gusts. That's obviously accompanying a lot of lightning, a lot of, extreme winds out there that they're going to make sure the players are off the course for. So I wouldn't expect them to have to play through any sort of bad conditions, but understand if the storms come in a little bit earlier than expected, or at least, earlier than they hope so, they might have to play into Sunday. So you might see a few of the holes finishing up over there, but especially for those going out early, they are looking at pretty similar conditions to what we had here on Friday, which were right around a third of a stroke over par, maybe closer to an even par scoring average, just due to the lower tier players being cut out of the field. With that being said, pretty similar conditions to what we saw today. Let's go ahead and take a look at the props I'm taking. So first and foremost, going to start with birdie or better, where we're going to take JT Poston as our first pick. So have him at 4 birdies. I'm taking the over there. And though he hasn't cleared the 4 birdie mark to this point, he is a well above average birdie or better percentage player, and somebody I'm looking for a huge bounce back. So tees off at 8:23 a.m., which isn't the earliest tee time, but also isn't the latest. He'll be teeing off in the first half of the wave, which I think is advantageous for him. Obviously, that's 7:23 a.m. local time over there in Minnesota. And also, like I said, hitting the ball well. He's setting up a lot of birdie opportunities. Today, just the putter wasn't cooperating. And if there's one thing that long-term JT Poston is kind of known for, it's having that flat stick, right? A career gainer with shots gained putting. In fact, gains close to half a stroke per round with the flat stick. So if there's one thing that I expect to rebound quicker than others, it is going to be that putting. So like I'm there at 4 birdies. I also like Cam Davis at 4.5 birdies or better. Somebody who's also an extremely solid putter. I mean, particularly this week and what you saw last week at the Barracuda Championship. Finished 6th place there, is on a similar track right now. They're tied for 14th, and he made, I believe, 7 birdies on the day. Might even have been 8 by the end of the day there for Cam Davis. Tomorrow just needs to get to 5 to hit the over for us. So just go out there, reproduce what you've done for the last 6 rounds, Cam, and you should be able to clear that 4.5 birdie mark. So a little bit more straightforward than a JT Poston. We aren't necessarily looking for that quote-unquote bounce back, but you're paying for that with the hook, right? That's why he's at 4.5 rather than 4. So, if we get that quote-unquote median projection where if he goes out there and makes 4 birdies, right, it's not going to pay off like somebody like a JT Poston where, we're living to the next day. Perhaps might be able to take down a 3 of 3 or a 2 of 2 rather than the card that we had before. So I like both props, but I think if you're playing like in a 2-man or a higher dollar type of contest, I might prefer to take somebody like JT Poston. Even though Cam Davis, projects for much closer to the 4.8 birdies on the slate, 4.9 birdies. It's like 4.87, I believe, in the last time I checked. JT Poston is a lot closer to like 4.47, 4.48, like closer to 4.5. I'd rather side with JT Poston just because you get that push in your back pocket, right? But obviously, I'll be entering plenty of cards, differentiating my exposure. So we'll be getting to plenty of Cam Davis as well. And now lastly, the last prop we'll talk about is going to be over Adam Hadwin. Misspoke there. Under on Adam Hadwin on 69.5 strokes. So obviously somebody who made the cut, had a very solid day one. Today did not have his best stuff. So that's why you see him there at 69.5. Yesterday was priced up with guys like a Tony Finau, also Sungjae Im towards the top of the board. It is now a clear stroke behind them. And while obviously over the first 2 rounds, Sungjae and Finau have been by far the best players in the field, you have somebody like Adam Hadwin who historically is maybe not the same player, but at the very most, like the tier below them in terms of long tier pedigree. He's a solid ball striker, going to gain in bunches with the flat stick, but more than anything, he has finished in the top 10 in every finish at this golf course, a 6th and a 4th place finish here at TPC Twin Cities. That tells me that he likes the setup, clearly has a lot of experience and a lot of success around this venue, and that is going to pay dividends at some point. And to this point, it really hasn't, right? He's 1 over par, just made the cut. He's teeing off a little bit later because, believe it or not, when they do it off split tees, they do start from the middle of the pack and move outwards. So obviously the guys that are in lead will be teeing off last, but also the guys that are in, just made the cut there at +1 are also going to be teeing off last. So that isn't ideal for Adam Hadwin, but pushing that aside, understanding that he's just one of the better players in this field, mispriced at 69.5. Somebody I project for right around 69.1 strokes. So that's right around where we need him to get to. So it's not actually at the 69 that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable about it. But with this lower tier field, you're not going to get a huge edge on really any prop out there, right? You're not going to get like a 0.7 stroke difference on really anyone on the board, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's the hand that we're dealt at this point with 3M Open. I mean, guys like Tony Finau, I project for just under 69 strokes. So for close to something like, I believe it was like 68.8 for somebody like a Tony Finau, and it was like 68.9 for somebody like Sungjae Im. So obviously, I think they're more than capable of shooting 3-4 under par tomorrow, but from a median projection, I'd actually be taking the over there, but I'd be much more comfortable taking the under guys like an Adam Hadwin than I would be fading somebody like a Sungjae or a Tony Finau. So that's why I'm going in that direction. In terms of the strokes board in general, there's going to be some unders I'm considering, but a lot of props that I'm probably just fading. Obviously JT Poston we're taking with birdies. I don't think that's the worst idea at 69.5. Or even somebody like Cam Davis, for example, right, who's at 4.5 birdies, but at the same number in terms of strokes as other players. Might be a better position to get him over here at 69.5 strokes. So maybe something to consider there. In general, with the birdie or better board, also a few overs I'm considering. Like I said, having that push in your back pocket with somebody like a Jason Day at 4, not the worst idea. Over here with birdie or better matchups, they do have some solid matchups once again. And again, just try and target the lower tier players, right? Like a Jim Nance, like a Cameron Percy, for example. Like going after Scott Piercy, who's playing well above his head, for example. I don't even hate taking somebody like Lee Hodges there. So that's an idea of some of the props I'm looking at, some of the thought process I'm going through in building my cards.